on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Danny says his mother-in-law is ruining his marriage.
She is so manipulative.
I hate you. I hate you for taking Nicole, manipulating her into not loving me the way she did.
I don't try to take her away from you.
Yes, you do.
I refuse to cut my mother out of my life to save my marriage.
You're saying I've got to make a choice between my husband and my mother? You already made that choice when you said I do. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Okay, I want you to meet newlyweds Nicole and Danny, who have been married for only a year. And meet mother-in-law Alana, who says Danny is an inconsiderate, rude, controlling, and competitive ass. But son-in-law Danny says Alana is a monster-in-law who monopolizes his wife's time with incessant phone calls, just nonstop. He says Nicole drives over an hour at least 4 times a week to check on her mother, thinking something terrible has happened to her, especially since she rarely eats and consumes mass quantities of Mountain Dew. You can't make this up. As for Nicole, she says she is exhausted by the tug-of-war between her husband and her mother. Take a look.
My wife, Nicole, and her mother are best friends, but it's a twisted, extreme, obsessive relationship.
My daughter Nicole is my only family member, and Danny is trying to sabotage it and take her away from me.
I try as hard as I possibly can to be there when Mom calls me and be there when you need me, and I am one person. I'm the one who's stuck. My mom calls me 5 times a day and keeps me on the phone for at least 2 hours. And then I have to call her at least twice a day to check on her.
I do believe that if my daughter Nicole didn't talk to me on a daily basis, that she would have some severe anxiety.
Alana is so manipulative, she'll pretend that she's sick, so Nicole has to go take care of her.
I suffer grave, grave depression, and I still, to this point, don't eat.
It makes me so sad to see my mom so unhealthy.
How much soda did you drink?
This is probably my 3rd bottle today. This size.
All Alana eats is McDonald's and drink Mountain Dew. It's time for her to get off the dew. Stop doing the dew.
Seeing my mom so thin and depressed makes me feel guilty, and I want to help her.
Your family needs you, and you're not available.
That's my mother. If she needs me, I'm not just gonna not be there.
My son-in-law, Danny, is a complete ass.
I'm way past the point of feeling sorry for my mother-in-law. Right now, I resent her, and I'm starting to hate her.
I feel like I'm torn between my husband and my mother, and I can't win.
Okay, so you guys have been married a year?
Yep, a little over.
How long have you been together?
About 6 years.
You knew about this mother-daughter relationship before you got married.
Yes. It just wasn't as extreme as it is now.
Do you think it's extreme?
It has increased since we got married, yes.
Do you think you have an extreme relationship with her?
Nicole and I have had a wonderful relationship up until Danny. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you for taking Nicole and manipulating her into not loving me the way she does and did, and we had a dynamic relationship.
I have no problem with you guys having a relationship.
Oh,
It's extreme. I don't try to take her away from you.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I encourage your relationship.
Yeah.
She's a mother.
You
She's
get mad at her. What do I hear
What
on
am I
the telephone?
supposed to do?
Oh, come be a mother and a wife when she's trying to talk to her mother.
Do you think you have an extreme relationship with your daughter?
Yeah, it's extreme. I love her so much. I love her. She's my daughter.
Are you over-dependent on her?
Possibly, yeah, being honest.
Was your father overly dependent on you?
My father was extremely dependent on me.
Why do you hate Danny?
He's the most competitive person in the world that I know, and he competes, literally. I'm not kidding. This isn't a sporting event.
He thinks you have a sick dependency on her. He says you'll even plot to ruin family outings by doing them first with Nicole, like the state fair or something like that.
This started way when Jenna was born. I couldn't do anything with her unless Danny did it first.
Well, I'm a new parent, new father. Like I'm excited, you know, and I didn't know what to expect being a father, and I love it more than anything in the world. That little girl's my, you know, my whole world. I want to do things with her, which I think is a good thing as a father, to want to do things with her child. And
I'm a grandmother. A grandmother for the first time.
Fair enough.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think?
This bickering, this fighting, it needs to stop. I think that my mother is overly dependent on me. I think that the relationship that she refers to from before I was married is in reference to a younger person who, being me, did not have responsibilities such as marriage or children. And I understand that she wants me there with her, but I do have other responsibilities.
And you've always said, too, that you love being a mother and you love being a wife and you want to take care of your family. It's not like I'm forcing her to do that. She wants to.
No, I'm not.
I'm not part of the family. Is that it?
Well, I wrote down some of the things you said.
Okay.
I mean, these are your words, not mine. You say you're on the verge of divorce.
We have been fighting a lot lately, yes, due to this.
And that you fear that you're at a point where you have to choose a side.
Yes.
And that she hates your husband. She's cleared that up for us. You were fairly clear about that. I think you said it
anger
9 times. And you said that she hates your husband, Danny, and constantly needs your attention. That your mother constantly needs your attention.
Yes.
You say you visit your mother, who lives an hour away, 4 times a week.
Yes.
You said that she has lost her entire identity and depends on you to feed her, and if you didn't go there, that she would probably die of malnutrition.
I do go there and cook. We cook, and she will tell me if I don't go there that she hasn't eaten in days.
What do you mean you don't eat?
I think it goes back to, I was a caregiver for my dad for 6 years. He had end-stage Alzheimer's, and I cared for him at home 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I bit off more than I could chew.
I have a lot of respect for you for doing that, by the way. I think that was a really stand-up thing to do.
I gave my life. Every day I did the best job I possibly could, but in the meantime, the last 2 years, I'd start missing a day of food, and then maybe 2 days of food, and then sometimes 3 days, and then I'd eat something, and then that helps my appetite. That helps me not feel hungry.
So why did you ask to bring this out here with you?
I go nowhere.
Does that seem normal to you?
Even our daughter sees it, too. She knows that's Grandma's Mountain Dew. She knows.
And you drink a lot of this.
I drink 2 full 2-liter bottles a day, every day.
How big is this?
1 liter.
That's
So you drink 4 of these a day?
at least, not more.
No water at all.
That's not
Okay,
a-
4 of these and no water. Okay. And then sometimes don't eat.
I've eaten twice since I've been here, and it's been very minimal.
Okay. When we come back, Danny says Alana is such a faker. So what is she faking? Well, we'll find out after the break.
Many days when I go to my mom's house, I don't get home until it's time to put Gianna to bed.
It is? It's night. It's late, huh?
I love taking care of my daughter, but I wish we could do it as a team.
Danny resents the fact that he has been there with Gianna all day.
I'm afraid that my marriage is going to end in a divorce because of my mother-in-law.
And later, that doesn't sound like kleptomania.
What does it sound like?
This sounds to me like you went and got a truck, backed the sumbitch up, and loaded up 23 generators.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My 17-year-old son is transitioning from male to female.
A military mom.
You flushed his hormones.
Yes, I did. I told him, I said, I'm done with it.
Her transgender child.
Don't be dressed like that when your dad gets home, because he doesn't want to see it.
When she walks on stage,
Ariana, come on out.
what will mom do?
What provokes you to slap her in the face?
Because it's legal and she can. That's what she says.
That's not true.
That's tomorrow.
Once our baby daughter was born, Atlanta started to get crazy.
Danny's so obsessed with the baby that I feel like it's hard to get time in with the baby.
Atlanta's jealous of the baby, and I think she's trying to make Nicole pay more attention to her and maybe take me out of the picture.
Danny wants his family all to himself. Danny is competitive to the point of unhealthy.
Well, Danny says his mother-in-law, Atlanta, has a bizarre obsession with her daughter, Nicole. But Danny says his mother-in-law is just manipulating his wife for attention and is ruining his marriage. Take a look at what he says.
I'm afraid that my marriage is going to end in a divorce because of my mother-in-law. I want you to put your foot down and be a tough girl and stop this.
I can't, Danny. She's not mentally stable enough for me to just say goodbye.
I sacrificed my time with Danny to be with my mom.
Every time we have a date night, you can bet that Elena is either sick, has lost something, has a hangnail, anything to ruin our night.
There's no possible way that we can go out because her problem is more earth-shattering than ours.
One time, we made plans to go to the state fair, and the weekend before we were going to go, Alana took Nicole and my child to that same fair. Alana is purposely pushing me out of the picture. You're either at your mother's house or you're on the phone with her, and me and Gianna miss you.
Many days when I go to my mom's house, I don't get home until it's time to put Gianna to bed.
It's dark outside.
It is? It's night. It's late, huh?
I love taking care of my daughter, but I wish we could do it as a team. That's why I married her.
Danny resents the fact that he has been there with Gianna all day. I would like to set boundaries. Unfortunately, with her, there are none, and she is very unstable right now.
I refuse to cut my mother out of my life to save my marriage.
Okay, what do you want to see happen here today? You seem a little unplugged from this whole thing.
I want my mom to, first of all, I don't want a divorce from my husband. I love him very much. Second of all, I love my mother very much as well, and I want to see her gain her independence from me.
What would you like me to help you work out, clarify, straighten out?
How do you teach somebody to be happy? How do you teach my mom to be happy without me there all the time?
So you're in charge of her happiness?
Yes.
Okay. That's useful to know. So if you're not there, then she has no access to joy.
Right. She
There's no happiness.
falls into a very scary depression when I
Yeah.
am not there.
Like, what does she say, for example?
I haven't left the house today, and I'm very depressed. I'm not eating. And then I'll ask questions like, oh, you know, have you looked for a job? Or have you...
But how does that come around to you fixing it? If she says, I'm depressed, I'm not eating, I have no job, I'm not looking for a job, I haven't been out of the house, how does that come around to you being the solution?
And also, she is lonely. So I fear for her that she's lonely.
But that's kind of an insult to your boyfriend, isn't it? Don't you have a boyfriend you live with?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of kicking his ass when you say that, isn't it? I'm depressed and lonely, and
Yeah.
so you don't get much out of him?
I think he sees the depression in me.
You say that she has a depressed voice that she uses
Yeah.
to manipulate you.
Yeah, I don't think it's an act. I think that she really is that depressed. But it's a very low, like, almost sleeping state, quiet whisper.
Can I hear the depressed voice?
It's not fake. That's for
Oh, I'm
sure.
not saying it is. I'm just saying, can you give me an exemplar of what it is when you are genuinely feeling depressed? I'm not suggesting that it's fake. I'm just saying, can you give me an exemplar of how you do sound when you're that way?
I just know I sound sad. I'm sad. I don't know what to say.
She thinks that you're mentally unstable. Do you agree?
I think I have an identity disorder that I don't really know exactly who I am, and I want
What's that?
family
That's the
around me.
voice.
Uh-huh.
When I look at that, I see a whole big list of excuses. It's like 30 years of this.
I'm angry with him, but I'm angry.
And later, she doesn't tell you she's going to kill herself, but she has you come over and read suicide notes that she's written
A journal
that's talking about suicide.
that's talking about my life.
Come on, lady.
I feel him kick. I can feel his little feet.
My daughter thinks she's pregnant, and she's not.
She actually thinks her baby's Jesus.
I am pregnant! And it is Jesus.
Do you believe this baby's the son of God?
Yes.
The ultrasound was performed on Haley.
You say, I'm giving birth. You don't believe that.
You are not a lie detector test, and you need to shut it.
Before I met him, my ex-husband was a priest. He had an affair with a massage therapist.
Who's now his wife?
This is the wonderful marriage that I apparently split up, right?
She needs to leave the room.
Your son killed himself with a shotgun.
Peter died under her roof. She doesn't appear to have any recognition of what she's done.
Do you believe that she would want your son to be dead?
Yes.
You sorry son of a bitch!
Let me finish.
You are finished!
My stepdad was a sick pervert.
He would have me touch him in the tub.
And your grandmother knew this.
She was fluffing her hair 10 feet away.
I never saw it.
You know what you did.
I did not molest you. You are willing to destroy my life.
You have destroyed mine.
You've sent me nine emails across time, and I wrote down some of the things that she said that are issues that you think that are active in your life. You said that your parents thought you were a boy when you were born and you were named Darren Thomas.
True.
That your birth certificate has no parents' names on it.
True.
Because I'm starting with that because you said an identity crisis. Mom and brothers hated her because you were enmeshed with your father. Your brother doesn't speak to her. She said, created me to be a monster that looks like an angel. What does that mean?
I have to disguise myself to be somebody who's functionable when the depression is the monster. What's got me feeling like I have no identity, and I can, like the Tasmanian devil, I can go from I'm so depressed and awful, and then I have to try to pull it off, almost like a performance thing. Mm-hmm. I look okay, I do okay, but it's only going to last a half an hour.
And then you say elective mutism until the 2nd grade?
I didn't talk.
So you didn't speak till you were 7?
I didn't say a word. Only to my parents, like within my family, my father would say I was fine because I could talk to him. Okay.
Parents hardly fed you McDonald's 2 or 3 times a day since 13. You lived on McDonald's since you were 13? You said you had 6 or 7 abortions between age 16 and 19?
I guess so. I don't remember that one, but...
Well, I can go get them for you.
Wow.
You wrote them. Hit by a van at 17 and it took 2 years to walk.
Yeah. I broke every bone in both of my legs and in my arms.
No friends or people that want to be friends. Gambling addiction. Kleptomaniac. You stole 23 $900 generators, a 40-inch and a 56-inch flat-screen TVs, $1,500 Bose system, and computers. That doesn't sound like kleptomania.
What does it sound like?
This sounds to me like you went and got a truck and... sounds to me like you went and got a truck and backed the sumbitch up and loaded up 23 generators.
It was always on a dare. No, they were one at a time. I didn't go get all 23 at the same time.
Well, you didn't put it in your purse.
No, they carry them out and put them in my car.
You talked them into it.
Yeah, I'd say, need help putting this in the car, and they would.
You'd make them think you bought it? Yeah, no, that's not kleptomania. That's...
Sorry.
You've been in counseling on and off since you were 23. At 48, you were diagnosed with a reactive attachment disorder. You had an $800 a day cocaine habit, which you stopped at 23. Is that what you needed this stuff for?
No. I had the money from the car accident.
Oh, okay.
I had a lot of money.
Smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day, addicted to sugar, filed Chapter 13 to save your house, took care of your father with Alzheimer's for 4 years. So these are the things you covered in your emails to me.
When I look at that, I see a whole big list of excuses. It's like 30 years of like this, where I know maybe I'm just built differently, but I don't make excuses, and I try to, you know, fix the problem, but it's all when she was younger. You know,
no, it has not all been when she was younger. No, the 23 is when she started counseling and she stopped doing cocaine.
Yeah, a lot of this is much fresher than 23. This has been going on and on and on and on. Next, Alana also says she was emotionally molested by her father. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Do you think you see him as a threat? And if he was out of the picture, you would have complete access to her?
I'm angry with him.
Alana and Nicole are attached at the hip.
My daughter Nicole and I were exceptionally close all through her growing up. When Nicole turned 18 and went out and got herself a tattoo and surprised me, I didn't mind the tattoo. It's on her ribs and it says mother-daughter friends forever. And I know she felt it and I felt it.
I think it's weird and abnormal and obsessive.
Alana says when she was growing up, her now deceased father was obsessed with her. He spoke for her, he dressed her up, and took her ballroom dancing, and even took her to his mistress's homes. She says her mother hated her for that.
No parent should be as close to their child. My father was with me as a child. It was enmeshment. My dad would ask me in front of my mother, who do you love more, me or mom? And I was trained, I was a puppet. I knew just what to say. You, Dad, you. My dad told me to quit high school. I didn't have to work. I didn't have to do anything. I just would be with my dad. My dad did all the speaking for me. I was not allowed to have friends. When my dad took ill with Alzheimer's in 2004, I took care of him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, giving up my job, giving up everything to stay home and just take care of my dad. My dad died holding my hands. I don't regret it.
Well, I'm very sorry for your loss, by the way. You say you're an adult victim of parental mind control.
Yeah.
So how can you not be concerned about generational legacy in the demands that you're placing on your own daughter?
Maybe some of it is not healthy.
Do you think you see him as a threat? That your life would be less complicated if he was out of it?
I'd like to see us all get along. Not a threat. I think if he would stop trying to hoard time. He is competitive in everything, honest to God.
Well, part of it, Dr. Phil, is most of the time I work 7 days a week, so my time with my family is very limited. When I do have a day off, I don't really want to drive the hour or spend time with Alana, but I guess maybe I could, but it's just, you know, I only have so much time and I want to use that time.
No, I get it. You're not jealous of him.
I'm angry with him. I don't know that jealous is the right word. I'm angry.
Okay, I was just seeing how much insight you have here. Nicole says she has another reason to be concerned about her mother. Take a look at this.
On my mom's worst days, she has had me come over and read suicide notes that she has written. I feel like when my mom has had me read suicide notes, it's asking permission from me for her to die, and I say no. If I wasn't there for her, she would probably die. I am responsible for my mom's life.
So she has you come over and read. She doesn't tell you she's going to kill herself, but she has you come over and read suicide notes that she's written.
Yeah. A journal.
That's talking about suicide.
Yeah. That's talking about my life to know me and not
It's a suicide letter, right?
Yes.
And she's sitting here saying it's a journal about life. So that's telling you she's not being genuine here.
No.
You've heard the term codependency, right?
Yes.
It's when another person affects you to the point of losing control of your own life. It's one-sided, emotionally destructive abuse, verbally or physically. There is absolutely no question that's what's going on here. When you say, I am responsible for her life, you have been manipulated to the point where you have convinced yourself that you're responsible for her happiness, her joy, her loneliness, her very existence in this world. You don't have the ability to fix this, and you know it. Coming up, who is the real Alana? She says it's not who you see on this stage today. We're going to talk about that next, and I'm going to show you why I say this is way over her head. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My 17-year-old son is transitioning from male to female.
Ariana, come on out. What provokes you to slap her in the face?
Because it's legal and she can.
That's tomorrow.
I think that Alana might be using prescription drugs. She slurs her words a lot. She has crazy mood swings. She's unstable. If she is on drugs, then anything could happen. She could put my baby in the car and crash. It scares me. I think Alana's a danger to herself and my family.
Danny says his mother-in-law, Alana, is a drama queen who may have a drug problem. Let me tell you what she's doing. This even has a name. It is called the Holy Trinity Cocktail, where you get Klonopin, Asoma, and Vicodin. These three drugs are called the Holy Trinity Cocktail because the drug interactions result with overlapping side effects of drowsiness, respiratory depression, confusion, seizure risk, and death. Those three drugs in combination will kill you. And look what she's taken. Right here. That's number 1. That's number 2. And that's number 3 on the list. That is the Holy Trinity Cocktail, and they're given to you in 90-count quantities, month after month after month.
Year after year after year.
Might as well give you a loaded gun. You're 90 pounds, you're malnourished, you're depressed, so let's give her the Holy Trinity. Good God, what the hell are these people thinking? Woman, you are a drug addict, and you happen to be a drug addict on a very lethal combination of drugs. What happens is, see, if you take one drug, we can predict what it's going to do. You take two, they interact, and you never know how much that interaction is going to be. You throw in a third, you've now got a three-way matrix, and you put it in somebody's body that's 90 pounds, her body chemistries, my God, it looked like the Keystone Cops. Her sugar. You want me to show you? You want me to, give me a picture of the sugar brain and the cocaine brain side by side. Cocaine brain. Sugar brain.
There is none.
Now, I won't go into all the details of what the functions and dysfunction of that brain are, but they look a hell of a lot alike, don't they?
Same.
Yeah, sugar. It's the other white powder. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil Show, call 323-461-PHIL or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. It probably sounds like I'm talking bad about you. I'm not. See, to me, mental illness, mental maladjustment is no different than a kidney infection or diabetes. I don't judge that because it's what I do, obviously. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to hide. It's something to acknowledge. And I do think you have some distorted views of life and reality. I think you have some mental, emotional maladjustment. I think you've come by it pretty honestly. I think the relationship you had with your father was really unhealthy, and I think children learn what they live, and you learned what you lived, and you're now replicating that with your daughter, and you're learning it well. And if you don't break this generational legacy, you will pass it on to your child. And here you didn't come through all this. You're the outsider, and you're coming in saying, this looks nuts. This looks nuts to me. What the hell is going on here? You're saying, I've torn here. I got to make a choice between my husband and my mother. You want some good news? You already made that choice when you said, I do. There's no choice to be made. There's no divided loyalty here. It isn't even a question. If it comes down between your husband and your mother, he wins 100 out of 100 times. Here's the good news. Here's the good news. It's like having two children. You love them out of completely different accounts. You have maternal love for your mother. You have romantic husband love for your husband. They come out of two completely different accounts. Loving your husband and being committed to him 100% does not diminish your ability and capacity to love your mother at all. And you need to take divorce out of your vocabulary. Robin and I just passed our 40th anniversary. We just had it a few weeks ago. And in 40 years, the D word has never been spoken in our home. It's never been spoken in our relationship, because whatever disputes or distortions, whatever we have, the relationship is never the stakes for which we are playing. You want your daughter to be happily married. You don't want your daughter to have the relationship with you that you had with your father. Here's what I recommend. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to send you to Origins. Now, let me tell you, Origins is the nation's leading dual diagnosis treatment center. And they offer a very sophisticated, gender-specific, age-specific treatment program for men and women. They specialize in the treatment of addiction, trauma, and other psychological disorders. I'm going to pair that up with Dr. Frank Lawless and the PNP Diagnostic Center, which is a multidisciplinary platform of diagnostics, which is going to look at you neurologically, psychologically, biochemically, hormonally, every way possible. We are going to get a baseline of where you are on everything. We're even going to get you off of the do And we're going to get you healthy where you can begin to see things with some clarity. Does that make some sense? Would you like to do this?
I think it's a miracle, yeah.
Deal? All right. Deal? All right. Special thanks to the Origins Behavioral Health Care, Dr. Frank Lawless, and the PNP Center. Next, we're going to talk about why a mother is panicked at the thought of having another child. We'll meet her after the break. Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
The birth of a baby is one of the most joyous and exciting times of life. But for a surprising number of women, having a baby can trigger a debilitating and often frightening condition called postpartum depression. My next guest can relate to that. Take a look.
My life was turned upside down after I gave birth to my son. I really didn't feel like myself anymore. I first noticed I was very paranoid that somebody was coming to take my son. I was anxious all the time. I absolutely thought I was crazy. I had a hard time bonding with my son. I felt nothing for him. I was very nasty to my husband. I hated him, and I had no reason why.
She just started screaming, just went off on me, told me to get out. That hurt.
The symptoms were so bad that it almost ruined my marriage. I got in my car, I started driving home, and then I got to the bridge. And I don't know what happened. I realized I was trying to drive my car off of the bridge. I was officially diagnosed with postpartum depression 4 months after my son's birth. I have a horrendous fear of having more children. I'm just too scared to go through the nightmare of postpartum depression again.
Well, the big issue, and Lisa is here with us, and also joining us is our good friend, Dr. Frida Lewis Hall, Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer. Welcome, both of you. When did you first begin to notice what you now know to be signs of postpartum depression, and what was happening?
I started having numbness feelings. I didn't really feel anything. I didn't feel nothing for my son, my husband. And when I went to my midwife for help, she had said that I was the worst case of postpartum depression that she had ever seen.
Okay, so numbness, you mean you just felt bland, just dull emotionally?
I felt nothing.
Okay. How can a new mom tell if she's feeling anxious or overwhelmed, usually called the baby blues, but how do they know if it's more serious?
About 80% of women after the birth of their baby will go through what we refer to as some form of the baby blues. And that's when a mom will experience sadness, anxiety, maybe tearfulness, difficulty sleeping. But this should only last about 2 weeks. But postpartum depression is much more severe much more intense and last longer. So the duration is a very important part of it, and the severity, the deepness of what you're feeling is also really important. What's happening is a form of clinical depression that occurs in about 10 to 15% of women who give birth.
So during your postpartum depression, what happened that alerted you to a problem?
The bridge scenario was the cue that something was really wrong. I was having a lot of suicidal thoughts before that, but I started having vivid hallucinations of driving my car off of the bridge.
Any suicidal thoughts is a very serious symptom of postpartum depression and requires immediate medical attention. Women often with postpartum depression experience things like these extreme mood swings back and forth. They have difficulty bonding with their baby. They may push family members and others away, withdraw from them, and experience extreme anxiety, anger, and a lot of guilt. A lot of women feel ashamed about this, but postpartum depression is a serious illness, as you've experienced, and so medical care is really important to get right away.
One thing I want to say about asking for help is don't be afraid that they're going to take your baby away from you. That's not the case. You'll get help. They'll give you the support and the things that need to happen. Do we know what causes postpartum depression from a medical standpoint?
So we don't know exactly what causes it, but we know that there are extreme shifts in hormones and in kind of the physical body that's happened during pregnancy, during birth, and after. And we think that combined with the stress of taking care of a newborn baby is enough, right, that interplays together to create the situation. Right. And I also want to add a risk factor that is really important, and that is if you have a history of depression, your risk increases for developing postpartum depression.
Given the severity of your reaction, you say you and your husband are worried about having more children.
We want to have more children, but I'm terrified of having recurrent postpartum depression episodes again.
What are the chances it's going to happen in subsequent pregnancies?
So studies tell us between 25 and 50% of women who have postpartum depression will experience or can experience a reoccurrence of that depression in a subsequent pregnancy. But if you know that is information, then if you're thinking about getting pregnant or if you are pregnant, you can talk to your healthcare team and work with them to develop a treatment plan that may reduce a reoccurrence of postpartum depression. And that treatment plan can include things like counseling, a very regular screening for depression, and it could include medications.
Because you felt pretty alone with this before.
Absolutely.
So where can women get additional information about postpartum depression?
On GetHealthyStayHealthy.com, we have stories from women like Lisa who are courageous and have shared their stories about postpartum depression, and along with some management tips on managing postpartum depression and some links to resources like support groups. And of course, while you're there on Get Healthy, Stay Healthy, you can sign up for a monthly newsletter, and then you can just get information that comes directly to you in your inbox.
Yeah. What I like about it is it's not all theoretical. There are really good action steps there. Whatever disease, disorder, whatever you're looking at, they're really usable action steps. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially Dr. Freda Lewis Hall. For more information on today's show, you can visit drphil.com. We'll see you next time, and best of luck going forward with this. Okay, thanks so much. Thanks a lot.